Hey, this is the analysis of Nick 4 here. For this video, I'm just talking about my review on Deathloop. Deathloop PS5 game came out last year, almost exactly last year, September of last year. And a Deathloop though is one of those games where, um, like it's just like Dishonored games, exactly like the Dishonored games. You know, you have it's first person kind of semi-action adventure, stealth based, and you have targets to kill and all that. But yeah, it's very similar, extremely similar to that. And yeah, so I like, share, subscribe, I share the video all over, and I try to watch the video at the end, please. So yeah, Deathloop. Now, overall, this game I'm not sure what to think of it. It's kind of up and down. It's kind of up and down, and you know there is kind of like this repetitive process, rinse repeat, do again, rinse repeat, do again, and you know. But overall, the gameplay is solid. Like the mechanics are very solid. You know the running is very solid. Like it really takes advantage of that PS5 controller. So yeah, but you know, like overall, like it just flows so well together. Like when you run, you take cover. When you shoot, you know, sniping or whatever, using a shotgun, assault rifle, like all the guns. Plus the guns feel very overpowered. They feel very overpowered, you know, over time. But there are some guns over time that will, you know, kind of fade away. But like other guns, you get this one gun. You know, there's this one nail gun. It's like a nail gun, but it's very underpowered. It is very underpowered. But there are other guns, obviously, like there is this overpowered pistol. There's an overpowered shotgun and like another shotgun. So assault rifle and machine gun. So like you have, you know, lots of different weapon variety. And going into it, like it's kind of a mix between easy and hard. It's not easy. It's not hard. But it's kind of like a mix. Now the AI is kind of silly. They fall like into traps easily. There is, you know, like you're fighting these kind of imaginary henchmen. I don't know what to call it. I mean, like a dreamland playing the game. But yeah, you know, so you're going about, you know, trying to take out targets, and you have a henchman or a henchwoman like along the way, and you gotta take them out. And the funniest thing to do is to kick them. You can actually kick the enemies in the game. If you watch my, you know, if you follow my channel, like I uploaded gameplay on it 2 weeks ago. And yeah, so you can kick people like off ledges, kick people off buildings, and you know, and you can actually stomp their heads. It's funny. It's a funny animation. But yeah, you have that as well. Now shooting, the I mentioned before, the shooting, the guns feel very overpowered, especially if you use the shotgun. They'll take out enemies quickly. You can use a knife as well. There's a knife animation, a stab animation. You know, overpowered. And the funniest thing to do, as best as placed, it's best to play the game stealthy. But the funniest through thing to do is to run throughout the mission and get to kick down enemies, stab this enemy, shoot this enemy, and so on. And you just once you get certain abilities, and now abilities now there are like 12 targets in the game. You gotta take them down like over time, and over time, similar to the Dishonored games. As you each target that you take out, you gain their ability, whether it be teleportation, invincibility, weapon modification, amplification, where it does more damage. So every enemy you take down, you get their ability. Now, with the ability, you have to, you can't die after you gain the ability to keep the ability. It's kind of confusing. So let's say like if I take down like this a target, no, I gotta take down the target, obtain the ability, leave the area, and then I have that ability. So the ability, like it's very important that you do this, because if you don't do this, you will lose the ability. Like if you die, like if somebody kills you, there is kind of a recycle deaths, no, like a respawn or like a revive. So you can revive, but it's only 2 times per mission. So you have to leave the mission in order to gain that ability without dying. So like one of the base abilities, is teleportation. It's a lot easier to stealth. You're much faster, but I at the first time I got a teleportation, I didn't know this, that you can't die once you gain the ability. Your teleportation and a rage, there's sometimes there is a stipulations in the mission where, or something that you might not know about. Plus you have to pay attention like to the dialogue. There's quotes and dialogues, and there's a mission where the a base that you're at is gonna blow up. And but I didn't know this on my first time, so I got the ability. I killed the target. I got the ability, and then I died because the whole base blew up. But I didn't know. I didn't know at all. And it was the one invincibility ability, but you can still die. I can still kill you. So there was a certain time trial, so you had to get out in like 5 minutes or 3 minutes. I do the mission in like under 5 minutes. So yeah, like that alone allows for replayability. So you have the abilities, perks as well for guns, attachments for guns. No, the overall. Oh, again, voice acting is very good. So, some of the best voice acting like I've heard like in a game. Really good voice acting. Beautiful graphics as well. The graphics in the game is beautiful. Yeah, like the lighting, the textures, the hair design, character clothing, everything. Like everything looks very bright and vibrant. The overall loop, it is a loop, so you gotta do everything. It's kind of like a day, so you have to do. There's like a four, parts of the day. A morning, day, evening, afternoon, or a night, or whatever. So you have to kind of take out like the targets are within that amount of time, I believe, something like that. It's kind of confusing. Now this process now, once you take out a target, and if you fail to take out the other targets like in that day, you gotta redo everything over again. So you have to take out the targets again and again and again. So this does get repetitive. This whole process does get repetitive, and I am kind of confused as to where to go next and what what the enemy, no, like what the mission objective is, and what the game wants to be. So that's what it is. It's like a loop, and once you die, like I said before, once you die, you do lose abilities, like a super ability, teleportation, invincibility. So you have to really pay attention and understand. And some bosses too, some of the targets, they're hiding behind like certain barriers. So there's one where there's a boss where she's in a cockpit like of a plane, and but the plane is basically like the actual windows are basically bulletproof. So you can't get to the window. I don't remember how to actually get to the boss, and I don't remember exactly, but there's a certain way how to get to it, like a secret passage. And so sometimes you do have that. So the targets, they do respawn. And you gotta take them out, and they respawn like in the same place for the most part, unless you have the teleportation one. So yeah, this does, you're basically doing things over and over and over. It reminds me a lot of Returnal, right? So, and I don't know if it's a trend. Like I noticed that PS5 games are getting like harder than PS4 games. Like I'm talking about like the newer, obviously the newer generation. It seems like we're kind of going back towards harder games, harder experiences. But yeah, so yeah, Returnal, this, and Ghost Runner as well. I had that, but yeah. So repetition, and that was a concern for me. Playing it, I play. I can. The good thing about this game, it's hard to get bored, but once you go through that repetition stage, it does get very old and stale. So yeah, now the game is very much. If you guys like Dishonored, right? This game is basically like Dishonored, very similar to Dishonored in its movement mechanics, shooting, the balance, difficulty, everything. But yeah, very much like Dishonored, and or even it reminds me a little bit of what's the game? Borderlands. It reminds me a little bit of Borderlands a little bit in its art style and that. But yeah, now a Deathloop, Another thing too is that the overall like it feels very balanced. Like I said before, the a balanced difficulty. But you have to be very careful. Again, you gotta. It's best to do the mission stealthy, you know. And yeah, so that's it. Overall, Deathloop. If I was to give it a grade, I know it's hard for me to grade this a 7 out of 10, a 6.5 out of 10, a 7.5. It's like a 7 out of 10 overall, but in my opinion, and again, like these games, it's one of the more recent games that I bought. So like I'm like 6 hours into it, but yeah, overall, a solid game for a PS5. It's just repetitive once you get past that repetition. But like, share, subscribe. Thank you.